Hello and welcome to day 10 of our Holy Land trip. We started off today in Jerusalem and left and got into the desert area and saw items like a lot of desert camels. The Bedouins were there with their sheep and goats. And then we headed south. Our first stop was the River Jordan. Now Jordan started earlier up in the northern part of Israel. 3 springs grew into the Sea of Galilee and then emptied into the Dead Sea. We're going to hear from Dr. Luker in just a minute.
That's Jordan right there. Can you believe it? Somebody want to swim across and say you've been to Jordan. You probably get shot, but that's Jordan right there, and it speaks to the level of peace and trust between Israel and Jordan that this has been open now for about a year.
And when Jesus had been baptized, just as he came up from the water, suddenly the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I'm well pleased."
I read the first chapter of John's Gospel, and in that is included the baptism of Jesus by John, and in that account, in Bethany beyond the Jordan, here, it mentions that Peter, Philip, and Andrew were part of the greater band of John the Baptist's disciples. You can read the details if you wish in John's Gospel, the first chapter.
It was hard to put into the words the experience that we had being there at the site, where it's believed to be Jesus was baptized. Earlier you heard me read out of Matthew 3, the story of Jesus being baptized. You see here us experiencing a great time at the shores. We also read Deuteronomy 30, which was where a passage in the Old Testament where Moses was talking to the people before they crossed over the River Jordan into the Promised Land. And then we ended by talking about Matthew 28 and our mandate as God's people to go into the world to make disciples and teach, preach, and baptize in the name of God the Father and the Holy Spirit. But it was a special day here as we affirmed our baptism as God's people at the River Jordan. On the way out, we're reminded about some of the military that's still surrounding us. But then we headed a little further south and ended up at Masada. Now, Masada was built by Herod. It was the last bastion of the Jewish freedom fighters around the end of the Second Temple period, around 70 A.D., where about 1,000 Jews, men, women, and children, stayed there for about 3 years. And they used all the resources that Herod had there to stay alive and wait out the Roman army that was coming. The Roman soldiers ended up building a large ramp over about a 3-year period and finally broke into the encampment. But what we saw here was the places where they lived, the palace, the synagogue. There were several large cisterns that collected water so that they could use that throughout the year. And we took a very interesting gondola ride to get up there. This was a great day.